We're live on Facebook and YouTube. If you are in the chat, let me know if you can see my face. Sometimes you can't. Hopefully today you can. But this is the garden party. This is the garden party, and we want a garden party with you. We talk about the plants you grow and some things you might not know. Garden party. All right, Phil, introduce yourself, dude.
What up, everybody? It's your favorite plant parent and regular parent. Back on this favorite podcast of all time. One of the best podcasts of all time, Phil from Phil's Figs.
Absolutely. Whatever Phil said. Exactly. Yes. Phil's Figs, the man with the figs, and he will be in Houston, Texas in a little over a week. Me and him will be sitting in traffic for 2 hours in Houston about a week, about 1 week and 1 day from now. So
we're just going to shoot a podcast in the car.
Yeah, we'll do that. And we have some returning guests with us tonight, some of the fan favorites. First of all, let's welcome Jeremy, Dirty Punk Gardening. Welcome back, dude.
Hello, good to be here.
Let everybody know where you're from and what you do.
My name's Jeremy. You can find me on all platforms under Dirty Punk Gardening. And I would like to request at some point that you do a full-length studio version of the Garden Party intro song.
It is. I have every intention of doing a more. It's gonna be more like a music video.
And make it like an audio so that we can like make content and put that on our content.
100%. And I want to do it with Phil when he's down next week, so that I can just play it at the beginning of the podcast, and I don't have to actually play the guitar anymore. I can just do the actual intro. So that will happen. That will already happen. And I do have.
And everything.
Yes, and I do have the actual version recorded, like the just vocals. I can send that to you. And then we also have Josh, the plant techie, Josh Gardens. Introduce yourself too. Let everybody know where you're from and what you got going on.
Yeah, I definitely want to hear that full-length version myself. I want to know what other instruments. What is it going to break out into? Some pedal steel?
It's just guitar. It's just guitar.
I think Queen. Like if we can get some good Queen vibes out of it, I think a lot of orchestration.
We're probably gonna need more than a weekend, Phil.
Challenge accepted.
All right, so I'm Josh. I go by the Plant Techie online. They would call me Uncle Josh Gardens, which is fun, and because I got nephews, and so I'm growing fruit trees and gardens here in South Carolina, pretty close to the Charlotte area. Been doing it for 10 years and just started on social media just over a year ago. And it's been so much fun just sharing what I've learned so that everybody else can get their home orchard started.
Fantastic, dude. And you and Phil were actually in the same place at once this weekend, weren't y'all?
Dude, that was awesome. We kicked it at Figapalooza.
I mean, Phil was like famous. Everybody was coming over. Alex was coming over like, Phil. Everybody knew you, like, oh yeah, they were like, oh yeah, I watch Phil's stuff. You know, you had a lot of fans there.
I did have a good fan. I that was like my first like Dustin was like, how'd it feel having a family? And I was like, it's okay, but I was like trying to like speak. I spoke on propagation, and then the people would keep coming to my table, so I'd have to like sit with the panel, and, like jump off and talk to people and sit back. But then Josh and I were just like, we were sitting there like hanging out, and Alex from Figget Family Nursery was there. Shout out to Alex. And he was like one of the few people that brought actual fruit. And so we had all these fig trees and no figs. And then Alex brought like the best figs. He brought like Black Madeira, Figo Preto, Col d'Adam Ramada. And we were just sitting there just geeking out over the fruit. And we got to film some content along the way.
That's awesome, dude.
So you guys would be happy to hear that I actually ate my first fig last week.
No,
man.
Like actual fig. I was hesitant at first. They're a little strange when you first like get your hands on them.
It's
you
a
look
little
like a
mushy.
urologist the way you're holding your hands.
It was good. It was very good. It was very sweet, and I don't know what variety it was. It had like a slight like peachy flavor to it.
Oh, nice.
But it was really good. It was really good. I'm kind of excited to try to grow them because my neighbor has a fig tree. I had no idea. He's just got a little tree he takes in his garage over the winter. No idea. He was
Oh,
around.
nice.
Yeah, he brought a few over.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That was your gateway fig. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
because here's the thing, and you'll probably relate to this. Like people wait, like other fruit has like kind of like that acidic bite to it that comes right on the palate. And figs don't necessarily always have that. It's just very syrupy sweet in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was, and then just this hint of like a peach flavor to it. It was good.
Peach
It was
flavor.
really good.
That's good ripeness, man. I wonder if it was an Olympian or if it was another type of Italian variety.
I
We'll
think
have to
I
see.
asked him what it was, and I think he wasn't sure of the variety.
Oh, sweet.
I don't think most people. I didn't realize how many varieties there are. Like I started hearing
it's
you guys talk
crazy.
about it, I'm like, how do you even know what to get?
That's how a lot
Yes.
of people who like really like their figs, like, oh, I love figs. I was like, great. Do you have a yard? They're like, yes. It's like, here's the deal. We have your dark figs and your light figs, and I end up setting people up with like one of each. So you have like a really dark fig, a dark berry flavored fig. And you have like a nice like light honey fig, or like it's like agave nectar. It's like super sweet. And then you have one in the middle. So you have like this like beige, gray, or like striped fig that can embody both of those flavors sometimes. So it's pretty cool. It's a good baseline.
This one I think had like a yellow color to the outside.
Mm.
Ooh, it was probably like a honey type fig. I can see the peach coming through on that. There are some figs out there that have very, very nice peach tones to them that make them really delectable for sure.
Yeah, I really liked it. I'd like to if I'd grow some, I'd definitely like to have something in that kind of variety.
Word. All right, I'll rummage my inventory and send you one.
Nice.
Now you couldn't grow them in the ground though, right up there in Ohio. You'd have to bring it in.
No, I don't think so. Right? I would have to just have it in a container, and
I think you'd be surprised.
would putting it in the garage be sufficient if it's not
Yeah.
heated?
Unheated
Even in your
garage is
basement.
great.
Okay.
Just because you want them, they're deciduous. They want to go dormant. They just don't want to go like below 5 degrees, 10 degrees sometimes. On the hardier varieties can. And some people exclusively will prune them to the ground every year and have them come up as a bush every year. And it's a totally nice way to do it. Have it against like a brick wall or a side of a house, and they'll grow nicely there for you if they have southern light.
Yeah, I think I'd like to stick to like a grow bag so that if I did need to like relocate it somewhere, I wouldn't be stuck with it in the ground somewhere, because I'm changing things up all the time.
And they do great in containers. In fact, there's like when I lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Boston, how are you? There was a Portuguese family that lived in my neighborhood, and he had like 40 fig trees, and he cut those 60-gallon barrels, the blue and white ones, and he cut them all in half, and he rigged them up with wheels, and he had a garage, and he just like kicked them in and out of the garage, and he had like 40 fig trees he did this with. It looked like fig bumper cars, but it worked great for him in Boston, Massachusetts.
That is awesome, dude.
That's awesome. One of the things that I learned at Figapalooza was that like there's the everyday figs that they throw shade on. They're like, oh, that's just a brown turkey or a Celeste. And then there's like they have these names like I don't even know, some of them I can't pronounce, but there was one that was like $175 tree. Like, oh yeah, this is the Israeli 7, and like I got it from this guy, and it's got this story, and I brought it over. He put it in his pocket on the plane, the cutting, and you can't get this anywhere else. And there's like ultra rare, high prized. Is that true, Phil?
Yeah.
Listen,
There is
insight to the
some
fig.
serious depth to the
100%.
fig forums and collecting worlds. And every few years you have this variety comes out that no one's ever had. And this is the best like genetic splicing idea of like how figs naturally behave. And you'll discover this rare fig. I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago. And it's like Ponte Tresa that was discovered in the Lakes region of Switzerland, which is the Italian region right across they still speak Italian in Switzerland, that part. And it has this like beautiful, like deep green skin. And then, you know how like, it's kind of like the ring of pith around the pulp that would even turn purple. It would be so jam-packed full of jelly. And it was like a wine red interior. I have one. They're really good, but they're fairly easy to find now. But like when it first went out on FigBid, which is like exclusive eBay type site for fig collectors, and they sell other fruits too. that went. I think one of them sold for like $500, $400, like something crazy.
It is
And,
crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, okay, but I'm not gonna lie, like I would still pay $60 for a nice tree if I ever lost mine, because it's worth just having something that tastes like a packet of jelly that you can just rub on your bread. Like, you don't need to make jam. If you just like smear it, it's the same thing.
I don't know why I thought of never mind. I thought about something really funny. Someone was singing this song. Someone was singing this song, and from what you said, just made me think of it. This song goes, "It must be jelly because jam don't shake like that." And for some reason, you said jelly, and that just popped into my head, and I just couldn't. I just immediately what came into my head. My God.
I'm gonna challenge that statement and say that I think jam and jelly are very similar. But what's marmalade?
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to find out what everybody's growing right now. I know Phil, are you going to plant anything before you leave for Texas, or what are your plans, man?
I have a bunch of Roma tomatoes and San Marzanos that are starting to ripen for me, but unfortunately, we've been having so much rain, they're getting stressed out and getting some fungus and BS on them. So, and it was windy. Like, I still haven't put the panel back in my greenhouse because apparently we're going to have another hurricane that hit Panhandle, Florida, and it's going to come right up into Georgia. So everyone be safe out there, because North Carolina, we're still going to get some wind and rain from it. The way it's behaving, they're saying it's going to hit really hard, really, really hard, and it's just going to stay like Category 1 well into Georgia. So everyone be safe out there. Josh, I think you're probably going to get some rain from that too, for sure.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 inches last I looked. The next couple days.
And so yeah, and so I'm kind of.
Oh, you ain't started the garden yet? I'm sorry. I was hunting around trying to find this because we were talking about the intro to the garden party and about how I'm so musically talented. Well, this was a song I did 2 years ago, and Farmer Froberg is featured in the video. I can't tell, but I did the full like garage band drum, like double vocal and everything. So I'll play this for you real quick. Oh, you ain't started your garden yet? Let me see if I can influence you to do something. You right? You feel me? Let's go, straight up. It's time to start your garden, baby. Hey! I promise it'll be your therapy. Hey! And if you run into some problems, baby, hey! Just know that you can call on me. Call on me. It's time to start your garden, baby. Hey! I promise it'll be your therapy. Hey! And if you run into some problems, baby, hey! Just know that you can call on me. Call on me. Start up a garden. This is production value, guys. Don't know what to call it. It's my therapy.
I think you got to grow the hair back out again.
Oh yeah, I got the wig in the closet right here. Putting seeds down in the dirt. Wait for it.
Love the harmony.
Don't know what to call it, but it's my therapy when I'm hurt. It's time to start your garden, baby. Hey, I promise it'll be a therapy. Hey, if you run into some problems, baby, hey, just know that you can call on me. Call on me. It's time to start your garden, baby. Hey, I promise it'll be a therapy. Just let it finish. Just let it finish. Run into some problems, baby.
Of course.
Hey, you know that you can call on me. Call on me. Let's go start gardening right now. There you go. And then I'll shut up for the rest of the podcast now.
Well, yeah. What did MTV say about this music video?
Well, they don't really play music on MTV anymore, you know. So I mean, it's just you know, it is what it is.
Where was the rap? I'm
waiting
for the rap the whole time.
Oh well, so I got that song from a guy. Shout out to Gardening with Goo. Gardening with Goo. He did a music video, and I asked if I could do a country version of that song. So the original, and I give credit to Gardening with Goo. Gardening with Goo is a dreadheaded dude from Florida, and he is awesome. But yes, His,
I know
is very-
exactly where that was from. I saw
Yes.
his before.
Yes, and I did. So that's a cover of his, and I
Yeah.
did that. But I made sure to get permission, and every comment was like, "You know, Goo's gonna be mad at you for taking the song." It's like, I asked Goo, I promise. But yeah, sorry, that was really distracting. But I had to find that video.
He couldn't let it out of his brain.
So that's what you have to look forward to, Phil, when you come down and we shoot our music video. I have several wigs that weren't even featured in that video. So
I was voluntold I'm doing this type of music video.
yeah, yes. Sorry about that. Oh my
So
goodness.
back to jelly versus
Yes.
jam and figs. Figapalooza was actually really, really fun. Because, you know, and this is like why I love this podcast too, is when you go to these garden things and you unleash your inner gardener nerd and you just keep talking for like maybe 2 minutes in, all of a sudden someone just meets you right there at the same questions and interests that you want to talk about. And then you're like, whoa, they were there the whole time. They're like, I'm still with you. I'm like, let's go. And 2 hours go by and we're all just sitting there still talking about figs and gardening. And I thought that was just like, I haven't been to a lot of these outside of my hobby greenhouse club and meetings at my arboretum. And so doing this more on a just like a private collective level, that was really, really fun. So I highly recommend if anyone's even curious about getting into figs, to come out to these events.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Especially Figtoberfest. Tell us about your experience, Josh.
I mean, first of all, there were some really good lessons. So Phil spoke, some other people spoke, and I actually learned a lot myself on like little tips, like little nuggets of things. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, we don't wrap the parafilm all the way down to under the soil line because it might rot there. You got to leave like an inch. Like, there's like little nuggets like that. I'm like filing that away in my nuggets of wisdom for future videos where I'm going to act like I came up with this thing when really it's just something I heard Phil talk about or somebody else talk about, you know. And so it gave me a lot of good content. But what I really liked though is that like everybody walked around to each other's and they're like scoping out, like, what do you got? Oh, what do you got? What did you bring? Oh, I've got that. You got that? And it was like a collector's like baseball card collecting, like where everybody's like, see what's on each other's tables. But like at the end, like it was just like everybody, it was such like a family vibe. I loved it because everybody was like so into all the different varieties and like trying to, you know, see what did you sell today. It was this very supportive environment, which I
was so supportive. That's a great way to say that. It was very community based. And like, I think I left, I was like, we were trying to get plants out. And I think we still walked away with like almost just as many plants as we came with. And same with t-shirts. Dude, Josh, I should have worn my t-shirt, Josh. Josh brought me a t-shirt. I was like trying to give t-shirts out and sell some t-shirts. And then people were giving me t-shirts. And then it was really good vibes in that regard. So that was fun for sure.
Well, that bums me out because I know like Jeremy's told me in the past, like in his area, there's not a whole lot of that going on. And so he's kind of like on an island by himself. It kind of bums me out. We're gonna have to get
a lone wolf out here.
We're gonna have to get Alicia and you to like, we're gonna fly out to Texas or something.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna
come in for the spring stuff because, well, yeah, if we get y'all come for the spring stuff, it'll still be too cold up there in Ohio, so you'll be good.
We'll bring a parka. Well, come on out. We'll go.
Yeah,
we'll be down there with the black lights and hanging out. Invite everyone down for a basement party.
Black lights.
Or sorry, not black lights, grow lights.
It's like, dude,
I meant grow lights.
Keep the black lights out of the basement. That's probably the last place you want them. Not specifically Jeremy's basement. I'm just saying in general. Shout out to Alicia who's in the chat. She's the one who does all my hats. They do all my hats and they ship them out. And she's been on the hunt for these awesome camo ones. That's the one everybody wants. And as soon as a new cool design comes out, people buy them up and they jack up the prices on resale. It's so crazy trying to find like the cool varieties of hats. It's so weird.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I can see the chat on this one too. I started seeing comments pop up. That's cool.
Yeah,
isn't that cool? This is a great platform.
Yes.
Jeremy, do you have a rave in your basement? That's what I want to know, like a with black lights.
I used to do
Steve starting rave.
I would do some of the podcasts down in the basement when I'm doing my seed starting, and I got a huge setup for seed starting down there, and it just like glows purple down there. So that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a ton of grow lights down there. It's just purple.
You could do a
lights
music
everywhere.
video down there.
You definitely could.
Easily. And we'd have a keg of PBR. We'd just be down there crushing seed planting and just kicking it.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And how big is your basement, Jeremy? Because I know you overwinter a lot of stuff down there.
It's not that big. I really like pushing the limits on what I can do down there. Like last year I found out like I'm just like I can add more and more every year, and I went too hard last year. It's decent sized, but not quite big enough. I need a bigger space now. Because I do
It's never big enough.
I did like 800 plants last year.
Only
That's
800.
a lot.
By the time I took my tomato plants out of the basement, they were this tall. So I had several hundred tomato plants this big down there trying to keep them alive.
How do you transition them up out of the basement into the outside?
I bring them up and I put them out in front of the building. A couple of days, I'll do a hardening off out there and bringing them in and out. And then from there, I'll put them in my greenhouse.
Nice.
Excuse me.
Oh.
So yeah, and my greenhouse isn't big enough either. I got to do another greenhouse now.
What size pot were you working up to when they were that tall?
What do I do?
1 gallon, right?
With the big plants, no, I do. I think they're 4-inch pots, but they're deep.
Mm.
And
I was
they,
just
and they,
thinking that the
they do
space
fine
that
in
would
there.
take up in 1 gallons would be a huge amount of space.
Yeah.
That many.
But yeah, by the time I get them in the ground, they're pretty root bound in those pots.
Well, and I was really surprised this year that I had some that I outpotted from seed starting trays all the way up to 1 gallon pots. And I was surprised how well they transplanted. I didn't think that tomatoes would transplant from 1 gallon pots so well, but I had some that did really, really well. I was really surprised.
Yeah, I never have any problems. Even if
Yeah.
they're root bound in the pots. I mean, just you could tell when they're starting to get stressed out and they need to get in the ground. But I only pot them up once. I start in soil blocks, so I have plenty of room when I start because I start in soil blocks. But by the time I start potting everything up, that's when I run out of space super quick.
I forgot you're a soil blocker. I forgot.
I love them, man. I started doing them 2 years ago. Just kind of experimented with them for the first time, and then I was like, just fell in love with it. It was so easy. You save so much space. So I do most of my stuff in soil blocks now, and then I just transplant the soil blocks to the pots because I sell a lot of the plants. So I'll transplant them to the cheap pots that I can sell.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot easier that way.
When you sell them fairly cheap too, like you pretty reasonably priced.
Yeah, maybe a little more than you'll get at like a nursery, but less than like a box store.
Right.
And my plants are better than both. So
Yeah, you were selling like 6-packs for like $5 or something like that last year.
what was it? 4-packs I do for $5. And
Yeah,
then I'll sell the
That's a great
big
deal.
tomato plants,
great.
the really big tomato plants. I'm selling them for $6 a piece.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, I'll have everything set up and I'll sell everything pretty much in one day.
Especially for the heirloom varieties, you only do heirloom varieties, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I do stuff that you can't really find anywhere else. And when I first started selling stuff, everybody was like, "What is this? I don't even know what you're selling." And they were like, "Where's the celebrities and the big boys and stuff like that?" So they didn't want them. But then once I started getting people used to like heirlooms and stuff like that, they're like, "I want them ones you had last year." So now I couldn't keep up with them because I didn't grow as many this time because people didn't want them. Now they all want them. So, which is cool. I'm glad people are kind of, realizing what a tomato should taste like now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Changing the world. Like I've been eating
like the purple
celebrity
ones,
tomatoes my whole life. But yeah, the Berkeley tie-dyes, man, I can't grow enough of those. People love those here now. Berkeley tie-dyes and mortgage lifters, which are my two favorites too.
Mortgage lifters. I forgot that name. Those guys get big.
Best slicers, best tomato sandwich tomatoes there are, I think.
That's the mortgage lifter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super reliable too. Good producers,
Is that determined or indeterminate?
indeterminate.
Okay. Yeah,
I'll put
I
that
think
one.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to get 3-pound tomatoes
wow,
off of those.
dude, you gotta
I've seen
get
those.
with
My dad loves those, and like he had a mortgage lifter. Or was it brandy wine? Anyway, but like
Brady
just
Wines
slice
too.
get pig too, and he just slices it in half, right, and just puts some salt on it, and he's like good to go.
Like super meaty, very few seeds, not a lot of water in them. Perfect for sandwiches.
I'm adding those to my list for spring. Thanks.
And I did those Brad's Atomic Grape this year too.
How are
You
they?
ever see those? The wildest tomato I've ever tasted in my life. Also the most difficult tomato I've ever grown.
Really?
From germination, I mean, in the whole process along the way, just the absolute most difficult. Like even when they're healthy, they look like they're dying. So I mean, it was you never knew how they were doing because they just always looked like sickly plants until once they start taking off, they just go crazy, and they're like absolutely prolific. I can't keep up with them, but it's the most unique tasting tomato I've ever had. If you get them before they're like fully ripe, it's almost got like a kiwi type flavor to it. It's a very fruity flavored tomato. Not something you'd want to like make sauces or something with. I did make fresh salsa with it, which is really good.
That'd be interesting.
I wonder
they're
because it
more
would
like-
be sweet like a mango salsa type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a very, and I've always says tomatoes are a fruit. I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just trying to give a description of the flavor, and then it has like a fruity flavor to it. But yeah, they're really good, and then they get slightly different flavor when they're fully ripe too. But it's not just like you wouldn't want to put it in like any Italian foods or anything like that. You know, it's more like a snacking tomato, but it's really good. I'm gonna do one plant next year because, like I said, they're super prolific, and you can only do so much with them. But yeah, I was pretty happy with them. I'm gonna do them again next year.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Cool looking
No.
too, very cool looking tomato.
I think the weirdest one for me tastes is like those blueberry cherry tomatoes. I did the blueberry ones a couple years ago, and they started coming up voluntarily now, and they really have a hint of blueberry. Like they almost like taste like a little blueberry-ish, and they are kind of blue. Like they get kind of like bluish red, bluish orange, and they're really good. I love them. But I've never grown like the weird ones, like the spoon tomatoes, like Phil has before. Like this,
They were the funniest things I've ever grown.
Oh, I've heard people say don't
Don't do it.
even do it. Don't.
it's
do
not
it.
worth it, right?
No,
They
I had
make a
thousands.
huge mess. They make a huge mess, and you just got plants popping up everywhere next year. Like I've heard people say that they are the most miserable plant they've ever grown.
I grew it
Yeah.
for the first time this year, and it was like thousands of tiny tomatoes in this giant bush. I just let it go, and I was like, "All right, I'm done."
Yeah, I mean, who wants to go through and pluck those little tiny tomatoes off?
No
Like,
way.
You gotta
All right, I
shake
got
them
a
into a
couple.
colander. That's what I did. You kind of like comb them like this, and I get them in this
Even like,
colander.
cause like even harvesting my blueberries is a pain. Like I couldn't imagine going through a giant bush with tiny tomatoes.
That's hilarious. Now, I can't imagine having to harvest all those. It's hard enough for me to harvest all the cherry tomatoes, let alone
Yeah,
little tiny spoon ones. It's
Talk
it's
about
nuts.
volunteers with the
there's
cherry
never a
tomato
time.
world.
There's
Oof.
never a time when I don't have like cherry tomatoes or like the Brad's Atomic even just rotting on the vine because I just can't keep up with harvesting
Yeah.
them and having giant bowls full of them on my kitchen table.
But have you tried ground cherries yet? Those are my favorite.
I ordered
No,
them.
I've
I
heard mixed
ordered them.
reviews.
They're good, and they're just like the Cape Island gooseberries that I would eat up in New England too. Yeah,
I had 4-6 plants this year, and literally thousands. My friend would come over. He'd take a box. We literally would get a box and just go along the ground because each plant would put out 1,000 over the life. It was unbelievable how many.
So what's the flavor? Is it? I
So
mean, is it a tomato or?
It's like a pineapple-y tomato cherry. It's very sweet, but if you get them unripe, they're a little bit more of a tang to them because they're green. But if you let them go all the way, sometimes leaving them on the ground will actually makes them sweeter. So if it just falls, it's not that great. But if you leave it on the ground a couple of days, then it gets even sweeter over time. And they're in a little husk, so the husk protects it from any insects for at least a week. So you can just let them sit there for up to a week and then pick them all up. And
Unless you have a dog.
Unless you have a dog. Jeremy, your dogs look like they would eat something like that for sure.
She's like a really picky eater, but she'll pick at stuff.
Yeah.
She grabbed a habanero one time.
Whoops.
Can dogs taste spices like that? Can they?
Oh yeah.
They
She just bit it. I saw it and it had like a couple teeth holes from her teeth in it. And she was salivating for about 10 minutes. Didn't like it. Hasn't done it since. So I think she learned her lesson.
I actually
think
heard
I've
with
se-
squirrels, you can keep squirrels out of your bird feeders with chili pepper.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh,
crushed red pepper.
I guess it makes sense because it won't damage the birds because the birds can't taste the pepper. They can't taste the capsaicin or whatever. That's why I was wondering about the dogs if it affected them at all. But I guess that makes sense. I loved the videos I see like when I'm scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and it's somebody's dog, so they're chilling eating a cucumber or eating like a tomato or something. It's like the weirdest thing, like a wiener dog eating a cucumber is just so strange to see.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll give my dog like a cucumber or a carrot or something, and she'll just like kind of munch on it for a little bit, come back to it later. It just kind of gives her something to do.
Yeah.
My old dogs would have just one bite inhaled them. Anything you give them.
Did you know I had a wiener dog? Is that what you're saying?
no, I didn't know you had a wiener dog.
Josh, you have a dachshund?
Yeah, and it has an Instagram account. Yeah.
Oh my
What's
god,
its
of course
name?
it does.
That's when I started. I was like, well, let's see what this is like. I was like, oh, this is tough, dogs.
You're gonna
Robert,
have to
great.
get him on the podcast next time. The wiener
Yeah.
dog.
What is your dog's
What's his
Instagram
name?
called?
Ezzy's Wiener World.
Ezzy's
EZZIAI. Yeah, you'll notice that she's the first to comment on all my posts. So if you look at all my comment automation, I test it with her account.
One more time, can you spell it for me? EZZIE.
Yeah, Ezzy's Wiener World. EZZIES.
You might have some.
Oh, it pops up second right away.
You might have the wrong people following your.
So you have the second most popular Ezzy's Wiener World.
Yeah, it's the second one.
Wait, did you just send me here like just to make my algorithm all weird? No, this is not your. That's not your wiener dog, dude.
You need to be careful when you're searching for that term.
There's a dude wearing a leather vest. There's no wiener dogs on here.
It's a mini wiener.
Yeah, it is.
Oh
It's
my
a
goodness.
mini dachshund, and she has her own Instagram and
She's
That's
sweet.
so
a very small following. But I did a video with her eating an apple, and so it was fun. You know, she's
Followed. I got you back.
I've got a big German Shepherd, and I don't realize how big he is until he's around other dogs. Like it's weird how big he is. Like I don't think about it until he's like next to someone else's like big dog, and he's bigger, and it's wild to think about. I did not choose the big dog. My wife did.
that's a pretty big dog.
Well,
Jeremy, what kind of dog do you have?
Blue healer.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
They're the best.
cool.
I love blue
Yeah.
healers.
Like I didn't realize how dumb my other dogs were until I got this dog. They are the smartest dogs you'll ever see. I mean, it's it's crazy how smart this dog is.
They're too
they're-
smart for their own good.
Yeah,
Mm.
they're so smart. They're like manipulative.
Yes.
Yeah.
They know what to do. But
Yeah.
they're a handful though. Luckily,
yeah.
as soon as we got her, Lish took her, started taking her to school, got her get her training and everything like that. So she's a really good dog now. But yeah, they could be a handful. You got
Thank God for wives in dog training, because us men are not great dog trainers. I would just give him whatever he wants, and she is actually stern and like strict with him, and I am the worst. I spoil him rotten. It's terrible. Phil, you need to get a dog for your kids, dude.
We had a dog. His name was
Oh, that's-
Louis. He was like, we found him. He was like the second dog. We gave him the best second life ever. He was like $75 from the local place that we have here, and he was the best. He was our biggest throw pillow we had in this house, and he was just a cuddle monster. He wasn't going to defend anything whatsoever, but he was just there for the fun of everything. Um,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, but no, we're looking into. We have neighbors on either side of us that have dogs. Well, one's actually a service dog, um, and he's awesome. Like, talk about discipline. Like,
Really?
he can just, yeah, and they have to be trained that way, because he does it for service officers. My next door neighbor is a lieutenant at the fire department, and so he goes to other
Nice.
fire departments, and these are like service dogs um, for the fire stations, and then not for the rescues, but for the employees and officers. And then across the street, my other buddy he has a Boykin Spaniel that he takes to like hunting and stuff, and he had to like send it to camps and stuff to get trained. It's crazy, but that's a whole another world that we don't have to talk about in gardening, because
Oh.
guess what doesn't run? My plants.
Well, I mean, it absolutely can relate, because I get a lot of questions. They say, "Hey, you have a dog in your backyard. How do you keep your dog out of the garden?" And
Oh yeah,
my response is usually, he doesn't go in the garden unless I'm there with him. I treat him like a kid. I wouldn't allow a baby, to walk out in the backyard and mess around with all my poisonous plants. It's like that,
right,
without me
right.
back there. So I don't allow my dog to do that. He doesn't dig. He doesn't get in the raised beds, and he's pretty well behaved. I mean, have y'all had issues with dogs or any other pests getting in your gardens?
I'm very
Mm.
cautious about what I grow. Like if I'm growing any kind of
Mhm.
new flowers or anything, specifically flowers, because you'll never know what's going to be toxic and what's not toxic. So if I'm doing
Right,
something new, I always research to make sure that I don't have anything in my garden. Because while she won't get in like tear stuff up, she'll nibble on some leaves and stuff like that. So I don't want to take any chances. I make sure there's nothing in the garden that she has access to that would be toxic.
that's a great reminder, because we have a lot of down by the beach. We have a lot of oleander,
Ooh.
and that stuff is insanely
Toxic
toxic.
for everybody. Yeah, for
Everybody.
humans and yeah.
I'm like, how is this just casually growing everywhere if it's this toxic? That's
Oh
insane.
my god.
But one thing a
This
lot of
time,
people aren't aware of, a lot of people like to grow it in their pollinator gardens and stuff like that, which I almost did. I'm glad I did some research on it. Milkweed is toxic for dogs. So,
Is it
kind
oh,
really?
of
good.
if you have a pollinator garden in your garden area and you have a dog, you might want to
Good to
find a
know.
place outside to do the milkweed.
I had a new plant in my garden world that popped up on its own around here in Wilmington. It's called spider lily, and you could Google it, Destin, because it's
Yeah, I'm
really,
on it.
really unique looking. They also call it around here back to school lily or hurricane lily, because it pops up this time of year during hurricane season. But it's very pretty, and it came up out of nowhere.
I
And
thought hurricane season was over.
oh, please don't even say that. We've got a month
I
and a
thought
half
all
left,
lilies aren't all lilies toxic. That's what I thought, generally speaking.
and that
I'm not
could be the
sure.
case.
Oh, this is cool looking.
For
It's
cats.
very cool looking, and it just pops up. Look at this thing.
It's really
Uh-huh.
neat.
And that's exactly what it looked like. It's about almost a little over a foot tall, and the bulb itself is probably.
You see it?
And we didn't even know it existed. It just popped up on its own.
Is it just the red color, or what color does it come?
Ours were red. I see the blue in your search bar there, but very cool
That's pretty cool.
nonetheless. And it randomly popped up. I don't know how the seeds got transported. So,
Oh,
but
But
don't
it's
let your
popping up
dog
a
eat
lot.
that.
yeah. What about you, Josh? How do you keep the wiener out of the garden?
I have 30-inch beds, and she's about 12 inches off the ground. So she's not getting, unless I lift her up or get little stairs to go up into the garden bed, she's not. But I did find out that I had a persimmon tree in my backyard because I kept finding it in my dogs. I was like, where are these seeds coming from? And I went through, and this is when I first moved out here, and I was like, oh, there's a persimmon. He found the persimmons. This is when I had two corgis. And I was like, man, where is this coming from? All these brown seeds, which is funny because I actually had some persimmons today, and I saved the seeds for them. And they're these little brown seeds, and then I
Nice.
grow them every year. So every day I go out, take my dogs for a walk, and go shake the tree, eat a persimmon, and save the seeds.
That's awesome.
You just put in you did a lot of American persimmons recently. We were talking in that I'm going to launch our interview on YouTube when we covered over at Fig Palooza. But you had mentioned, was it 60 persimmon trees that you
Yeah.
did from seed, and you're going to use those as the rootstock, if you will.
Yeah. One year I did this, I don't know, 5 years ago. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that again. But I had saved a bunch of persimmon seeds, American persimmons, because that's what the rootstock is for a lot of Asian persimmon varieties. So grow them from seed and then graft them on. And I did like 10 or 12 the first time. But this time I'm like, all right, I'm going all in. I probably got 100 seeds and then stratified them in my fridge, because they have to winter stratify. Right. So you put them in the fridge for like 90 days. And then I brought them out in the spring, threw them in a bunch of pots. And it was interesting. I tried like 3 different pot sizes, and those long tree pots, those 10-inch, 4x4x10, the roots were so much bigger and the trees were twice as tall as like the little regular 1-gallon pots. It was crazy, the difference.
Oh,
The
wow.
difference.
So I'm going
That's
to do
crazy.
that all tree pots next time I do it.
Yeah, those little cones are nice. The little long. How do you? So I have those tree pots. They're long little cones, and the drainage holes in the bottom are too big, and soil falls out. What do you do to remedy that? Do you put some in the bottom? Are we talking about the same pots, or you're square around?
Square. Yeah. They're like 4x4-inch, and then they're, 10 or 12-inch deep.
Okay, I have the little cylinder cone looking ones, and the drainage hole at the bottom is like this big, like almost the entire diameter of the pot, and you almost have to stick a coffee filter down there to keep the soil from just falling out. I've seen people like put electrical tape on there, but it's like growing like bigger trees, like like oaks and stuff like that.
Probably throw some mulch in there for the first.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure something out, because it's kind of a waste. I spent a little bit too much money on it, and so I would like to keep using it. But it was one of those things like where it's in my Amazon cart for a long time and I wanted it. I gotta ask a question. So today I planted here in the Houston area. It's around the time we start planting our garlic, and I ordered some elephant garlic from Haas Seeds, and it came in, and dude, a clove on elephant garlic is so big. It is like the size of like an egg, one clove. And I planted them in a soil or in these smart pots, these fabric pots. I did 7 cloves in a 5-gallon smart pot, and I'm excited to see how that's going to happen. But I also want to plant carrots, and I know Jeremy is the carrot expert. He does a ton of carrots. What do I need to do? But like, I know broad forking. Like, what are your go-to steps if you want to start carrots? Because I always fail at starting carrots.
Loose soil is a necessity for carrots. If you want to grow long carrots, like long straight carrots, you need to have loose soil, no like obstacles in there, not like super mulchy or anything rocky or anything like that. Nice straight path from so loose soil. Make sure you thin them.
Okay.
Haven't been great at, but give them some space. But I like to do like an inch between. I mean, this is if you're shooting for like, good luck and like better than you get at the store carrots. Some people just don't care. They'll just, rip the handfuls out. You get a few good ones, whatever. That's fine too. But yeah, give them space, loose soil, and water them deep. When I water my carrots, I'll water them real deep. Let everything absorb. Go back 10 minutes later, water it real deep again. Like, I want to make sure that water's getting like way down in the soil.
Yeah.
And then I'll let them dry out for a few days. Like, let the top of the soil completely dry out, because you want them carrots growing down to find that water down there.
Okay.
So I think that's the 3 main things to get like good quality carrots.
And I'm sure you have videos on this, but do you like build like dig like a little trench and there's heavy seed and then as you go?
Yeah. And I mean, it's literally my least favorite chore in the garden is thinning carrots. I hate it so bad. It's so tedious. And sometimes I'll just end up doing half of them and leave half of them to just kind of do their thing, whatever. As long as I got some, like a patch of like some really good ones, some small ones are fine.
Nice.
But
Do you thin with scissors or do you pull? What's your method?
I used to pull them, but that's even more tedious. So I'm to the scissors now. But you can make like a seed tape. I think some people use like toilet paper. They'll just kind of get it damp and, just put your seeds, space them along there, which I may try next year just because I hate thinning so bad. Because, a lot of people swear, it's so much better. So I may give that a shot next year. But yeah, that's the worst part of it is thinning.
Yeah.
That's a good, I did. Oh, sorry.
Good. Go ahead, Phil. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I did carrots for the first time where I put my potatoes. I was like, when I got my bowl of potatoes, it was the easiest thing ever. I'm gonna do that with carrots, and I just kind of took my seeds and I just went, hiya, and I sprung them out there, and I didn't spread them very well at all, and I definitely have to thin them. But we'll hopefully.
I
I'll
do
get something out
rows.
there.
I like
Okay.
to do rows of carrots. I don't like
Yeah.
to just kind of scatter them around. That
But-
scattering them is going to make thinning way more difficult.
I'm
Gotcha.
finding
If you
that
have-
out
if you have
right
them in
now.
rows, At least you could kind of go down the row and just clip them out down the row. It makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I want to do I want to try this fall and winter because like we can only grow like certain greens over winter here. I want to try to grow a bunch of stuff that I've never had good luck growing from seed. Like I want to do tatsoi, stuff like that, like those Chinese cabbages and stuff like that. You can do with like microgreens, and you can grab a couple leaves at a time and make like a little stir fry or something. I want to try to grow rutabagas. My dad had really good success with rutabagas, and he said they were super easy to grow. And I want to grow carrots. I definitely want to try to grow carrots again. And I actually got the seed tape for the carrots try, I think, from
So
Haas. So
it's already seeded.
yeah, I think it's like 15 foot.
I have my very specific varieties that I like to grow. They just don't come in a seed tape.
Yeah.
So
What
that's
What
my
are your
problem.
varieties?
New Carota, which is a yellow carrot.
Okay.
Or no, New Carota is not yellow. New Carota is it's just a big orange carrot, very sweet. Uzbek Golden is the yellow one.
That's what I did my first time with, and they were really. I really liked I really messed up my carrots. I like figs, but so I like carrots too. I'm getting into it. The Uzbek Gold were pretty cool.
They're very good, and they can get huge. Like the biggest carrots I've ever grown were the Uzbek Goldens. And then I'll just do some like Danvers. I always try a different purple carrot because I love the looks of the purple carrots, but I've never had one that I love. Like they're all just average, as far as flavor and stuff goes.
Got it.
Have you
But
tried
yeah,
parsnips? Any parsnips at all?
No, I've never had a parsnip in my life.
What does it taste like? What does a
Good.
parsnip
Yeah.
taste like?
It's like a potato mixed with a carrot.
Okay, so that's kind of like
It's more
that's kind of
starchy.
similar to a rutabaga. It's kind of like similar to a
I always
rutabaga.
just consider like parsnips, rutabaga, turnips. I just always feel like they're pretty much all the same thing.
Yeah, kind of.
I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's how I always just assume they're all very similar vegetables.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm more of a fruit man than a root man. So I'm trying to get more into the roots now and try some more of that.
I don't do a lot. I think the only root vegetables are carrots, radishes, and beets. Is all I do.
Who likes beets? You like beets?
Not raw beets.
Really?
Raw beets, I think they're awful. The only reason I grow beets is to make pickled beets. I like pickled beets.
I
Really?
like beet greens.
Beet
I
greens
think
are
beet
good.
greens are good.
They're good.
But I'm in the same
But
ballpark. Like
But to harvest beet greens, I would just have to grow them for the greens because by the time I harvest the beets, the greens are chewed up at that point.
Yeah.
So I have grown them before, just for greens. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a waste though. Like
Christine says she likes beets.
Lish likes
yeah.
beets too. She'll eat
Bush
them.
likes beets.
But yeah, I love pickled beets. But
Pickled
just
beets
any,
are the best. Yeah.
any kind
Really?
of
Oh yeah,
raw-
on a salad with goat cheese. Oh man, so
That's
good.
true. That sounds
And
delicious.
some pistachio nuts.
Pretty much everything we're talking about though, you can eat the greens on. I've even heard of people taking like carrot tops and making pesto out of it, like doing all kinds of crazy
Yeah.
stuff.
And I mean, I've heard
Yeah,
you can
Right.
do it.
right.
I mean, is it
I mean,
worth it?
If you add enough olive oil and garlic, I'm sure
Yeah.
any green will taste good, right,
I mean,
Phil?
yeah, you could.
That's
Exactly
how
what
Phil
I'm
gets his
saying.
kids to eat their greens.
I could make pesto out of oak leaves.
yeah.
Because
Challenge
Italian?
accepted. I want
Is that the Italian in you, Phil? Is that why they love the olive oil and garlic?
the pesto. My kids eat pesto twice a week, and it's awesome because I
Is
will
it?
mince up spinach they won't even know. They just crush it, and then I usually mix in ground sausage with my pesto pasta, and it comes out really nice. And then
Is it- Is borscht cold beet soup? Is that served cold?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think so. That's so Russian. To eat a cold
Gazpacho.
soup.
Gazpacho.
Beet leaf rolls. What are beet leaf rolls?
It's a Ukrainian recipe. It's a just beet leaves, and then you got this rice roll with what was in it, like sour cream and stuff, and they were really good.
Ooh.
It's like a Ukrainian California roll.
It's I mean, you've seen cabbage rolls.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
that, but there's no meat in it. It's just rice in the roll, and they're kind of small, but it's like a traditional Ukrainian food.
Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting.
I found the recipe. I made them last year. They were really good.
Okay.
Kind of a process.
Apparently, you can
Was
eat
the
borscht
process
hot.
worth it? Like, could you dial it in where the process isn't so time consuming and it makes the
No. I mean, it was worth. It was good. It was. I mean, it's not something I would make regularly because it's a whole thing.
That's my thing as a parent is like I have X amount of time before witching hour of bath, brush teeth, bedtime ensues where there's not supposed to be negotiating, but somehow we get into this whole conversation of negotiating why we're going to bed at 8 o'clock again. and but like if I have my time to get everyone situated and eat it, I think it's like I'm very much getting dialed into like what my kids will eat. And like different kids are different, like I have different palates. Like George, he's my little garbage disposal. But my other kids, my other one's a baby, and my eldest, she has a more sensitive palate, if you will. But she'll eat that pesto all day.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I think it's so cool when people make like, can make a lot of like at least part of a meal from the garden. I know there's people that
Yeah.
make their own baby food. Like, I wonder if you can make baby food like out of figs and stuff like that. I bet you could. Like, I
Well, we
bet
do
you
a
could-
lot of baby-led weaning, where it kind of teaches the kids how to, rather than just having baby food, it teaches them how it feels in their mouth, because children actually their gag reflex isn't in the back of their tongue; it's in the middle. Unlike us, where it's in the back. Ooh, dill. Dill would be good with the sour cream too, I bet.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
like,
I
but like
forgot
I
about that.
love having my kids just out there, just taste testing everything and seeing it happen. And then my youngest, who's a baby, we just let her go at it with some of the things too, which is really fun.
That's
Have you guys
awesome.
ever tried making homemade fruit roll-ups or any like dehydrated fruit leather?
No, but
I never
we
tried
talked about
that,
this too, because you were like, how do you not have a dehydrator? And I was like, I know I need to get one.
Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
I do a lot of dehydrating.
Oh, nice.
Don't skimp on the small. Don't like spend a little bit more and get the bigger one. I had the little stackable one for a long time, and I've got the looks like a little mini fridge almost now. And I think I paid like $200
Okay.
for it, and it's worth it. It's like 7 racks. It'll go for a longer amount of time, and you can adjust the temperatures more because when you're dehydrating, you want to make sure you're not cooking the thing at the same time. You want to make sure you're getting really good airflow and you're heating it, but like not so much that you're actually cooking what you're dehydrating. And that's one of the important things, because I've done beef jerky and stuff like that in it too. Like it's nuts. I love a good dehydrator.
It's so good. Strawberry fruit roll-ups are my favorite, and I've tried like 3 different sweeteners with it, and my favorite is dates, because dates aren't so sticky. It's a really good like low sweetness grade. I've tried honey, regular sugar, but dates, oh, you put them in the blender, mix it up with the strawberries, pour it out,
Ooh.
and then
So how do you pour it out? Do you just pour it out in like a baking tray?
no, so they've got these plastic sheets.
Silicone.
Silicone. That's it. It's a silicone sheet that goes over it, and then you pour it out, and then it just sort of lays real thin, I don't know, 1/4 inch thin.
Yeah.
And then it just cooks down like real thin.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then it just comes right off the silicone, really easy. You put it on like parchment paper, and then you get your pizza roller and you put them into little rolls and put those into Ziplocs. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I could eat 2 or 3 of these, but you need to stop. So
Spicy Mustache does a bunch of videos on stuff like that. He does a lot of cool videos like that.
I just did a bunch of habaneros. I like to make powder out of hot peppers.
Oh, hot pepper powder. Dang.
That is why my dehydrator is now in the garage and not inside the house.
Well, that's why I have one of them like round plastic ones with the plastic ones with the tears on it. If I'm doing like habaneros and stuff, it's in the garage. You don't want to.
Does it really make you? Does it bother you? The airflow?
It's pretty overwhelming. If you do real like habaneros, like real hot peppers, and if you're doing garlic too, you do not want to dehydrate garlic in the house.
So I've got a really funny story. So my wife does a lot of pepper powder, a lot of stuff like that. And we used to have it inside the house, and Farmer Froberg was coming over to shoot some content with me. And we literally had the peppers dehydrating for like almost 48 hours, going strong. And he walks in, he knocks on the door, and I say, "Come in." I'm sitting on the couch, and he took 3 steps inside my house, and he goes, "Dude, what is wrong?" And I was like, "What, man?" And he goes, "You don't feel that?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Dude, it feels like I just got maced." And I was like, "Oh man." And he goes, "Dude, your eyes are bloodshot." And I went and looked at the bathroom, and they were just like blood red eyes. I was just sitting there for so long. I didn't even realize it. I was like, what's going on? And he's like, "We have to go outside, man." It was so bad. Oh my god! So yes, put it in the garage.
Okay, smart.
Oh,
smart.
Pumpkin pie inspired
pumpkin
fruit
pie.
leather.
Do you know what would be amazing to make a roll up with? Is like persimmons, like like an astringent, like a persimmon. Like let that get nice and gooey, and just like let that flatten out.
Oh, that's a good one for dogs, for sweet potatoes for dogs. That's
sweet
good for them too, right?
Yeah, we used to make those for treats for our other dogs. We used to do the dehydrated sweet potatoes all the time.
Nice.
Super easy.
Well, now I have a question, because the three of us are in warmer climates, but Jeremy, you're in a slightly cooler climate. Is it cooling down for you up there at all? Like post Labor Day stuff?
Okay. The last couple days have been in the like probably around 80, but it's been hot.
Oh no, it's warm. Yeah.
We've been in a drought up until 2 days ago. We've been in a pretty serious drought. Weather's been kind of weird, but yeah, it's still warm.
Oh man, so your summer stuff is just still chugging along, which is pretty great. I guess
tomatoes are on their way out. Which at this time of year the disease starts kicking in. It's always inevitable this time of year. So I might even pull those out this weekend. But my peppers are insane. I'm gonna do a giant pepper harvest this weekend, I think. But everything else is doing really well.
My cayennes are ready to be picked.
My loofah is insane.
Is it? That's people in the feed are talking about your loofah, so I want to hear about it. That's awesome.
Yeah, tell us.
It's got to be 10 foot tall.
Oh, really?
I have 2 plants. I mean, it is insane. I don't even know how many loofah are on it. It's so big and so full, I can't even see them anymore. So I got to get in there and start pruning this thing and figure out what's going on. But I still got possibly a month left on it before I get a frost. So you never really know. So, but yeah, I don't know what happened this year. Like last year, I didn't think a loofah could get any crazier than it did last year. This one's just
wow.
It's one thing that I just haven't. I haven't chose to grow it because I just know how crazy it gets. Like I've got sweet potatoes climbing up my greenhouse right now. Like that's crazy. I can't imagine if I had loofahs. Like.
But the thing is, some people's don't though. I don't understand. Like some people grow them and they're under arch and they're like this manageable plant, like, and they get loofah and stuff on them. Mine just, I don't know what the deal is.
Do they dry on the vine, or do you pick them off and have to?
I don't. I may have some that will, but our season's a little too short for it. Got a longer season, you can let them dry out on the vine. So I'll probably end up having to harvest most of mine green and just processing them green, which is fine. It's a little more work, but I think it's better quality sponges when you do them green.
This was getting my question. Have you eaten any?
Yeah. You got to eat the real little ones.
Okay.
Like okra style.
They're like real soft. They taste like, and I got something I got to tell you guys after I finish this,
Okay.
which has to do with this. But they're real soft, and they kind of taste like a cross between a cucumber and a zucchini.
Okay.
With more like a zucchini texture. So
Okay.
they're not bad. A lot of people soups and stuff out of them. You can, I imagine if you like breaded them and fried them, they'd be good. Not something that I like, really care to mess with so much as far as eating. I'd rather just let them grow into sponges.
Yeah.
So,
Do you
but
sell them? You sell it? Go. Keep going. Go ahead.
off of the loofah story, so I decided what my Halloween costume is going to be this year, and I decided I'm going to be the Baker Creek hobo for Halloween.
Shut the.
Did you get a hat and glasses? Colored glasses?
and he has his video. Like where I discovered him was his loofah video. It is his greatest video of all time. It is so good. So we were talking about, have you ever eaten a loofah? So he actually eats one in this video.
Oh,
In the most entertaining fashion you could ever imagine somebody eating a loofah.
Yes, I've seen the way he eats things, and it's
So
nothing about it is normal.
I'm gonna be him for Halloween, and I'm gonna completely recreate his loofah video.
That's amazing.
Do you know him personally? Like your friends?
I
with him?
don't.
Is he cool?
No,
Aston, did you ever try to get him on the podcast?
Oh, I
You
tried.
didn't
So,
you?
for those that don't know, if you're maybe a more recent listener of the podcast, there is a running joke, and we call Ryan from Baker Creek the Baker Creek hobo. We only called him that because we didn't know his real name. We now know it is Ryan, but he is very politely called the Baker Creek hobo on this podcast. And I have reached out to him twice to try to get him on, and he may or may not have heard me call him the Baker Creek hobo. And so I don't know. His people will call my people, is what I heard.
You know what we should do? We should all be the Baker Creek hobo for Halloween, and we should all recreate one of his videos.
And then dress up like that on the podcast.
And he will really have no choice after seeing all these videos.
When is Halloween?
On the podcast. Yeah, and then we'll do the podcast, and we'll all be him on the podcast.
It's on Thursday. We could do a special edition.
Yeah.
We could just do a special edition on Wednesday. Oh my god!
And everybody choose a video of his to recreate. He has one on figs, which is really good. The fig one is my second favorite he's ever done.
Oh,
it is.
Yes,
it is a quality. It's a masterpiece.
To their credit, his videos are very entertaining. They do
very
a really good job.
Excellent marketing.
Yes, we are not making fun of him out of hatred. We are making fun of him out of admiration.
I love his
we
work.
love you, Ryan.
And
We
it's
love
an
you.
amazing brand. I mean, they make great
Yes.
seeds that you can't get elsewhere. So
Yeah, like those
His
non-GMO
fig
purple
video is very
tomatoes.
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are the
No, he
Purple
does-
Galaxies through him? Through them? Or no, they just have another. That's the GMO one.
Yeah.
The tomatoes.
Yeah, his purple. That's the purple Galaxy.
No, they had to pull those.
Yeah,
they
because
deploy.
they're GMO. They don't do the GMO stuff. Yeah, they pulled their GMO purple tomatoes because they're not GMO. Yeah. But before the podcast, yeah, even Alicia loves him. You're envious of his outfits. Yes, me too. I want to know where. I think they're in Missouri. There must just be a thrift store down the road from this place. Either that or you know what? I used to when I was in high school. I would go raid my grandpa's, like in his coat closet. He would have some of the stuff that like he wore like back in the 70s and stuff, and it fit me like when I was in junior high and like high school. And so I had like a 3-piece corduroy suit with like bell bottoms that I wore to like a junior prom. Like it was awesome. So maybe that's what he's doing.
Well, Lish is a knitter, so she was gonna knit me the vest that he wears all the time, but we were kind of down to the wire, so we don't really have time to do that. So I'm gonna have to improvise on my outfit, but I think I'll be able to pull something off.
No, you'll find some gems for sure. I bet.
Yeah, I may have to run down to the surplus store and go find me some stuff. But before the podcast started, we were talking about some of the gardening content creating community, and I don't think we really discussed it on the podcast, that all that drama that was going on with Epic Gardening. There was a content creator that put out like this big expose on Epic Gardening. His name, I forget his real name. Kevin Espiritu.
Not Eric.
Not Eric Gardening, correct. Saying all this stuff about him being like backed by like this venture capitalist group or whatever, saying he was worth all this money and stuff like that. And everything he was saying, I was like, it doesn't sound like it's like Kevin was doing anything wrong. It just seemed like this guy was jealous. And they come to find out, this guy owns a competitor seed company. And that's why he was trashing, Kevin, because he's got the botanical interest now, Well, so I thought that was pretty wild.
It is. I mean, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes, this guy's jealous of Kevin's following.
Oh, this guy we all are. Okay, for the record, we are all jealous of Kevin's following.
I mean, I think for me and for every other gardening content creator, like, look at what Kevin's doing, and that's, really what we all aspire to do.
Absolutely.
100%.
Right.
This guy is just looking at him. He's jealous. He's got a seed company. He's thinking, I can make some stuff up, make this guy look evil, drive traffic to my site, maybe I can take down the competition here. And, it's all opportunistic for this guy. There was nothing to it. There was nothing there. He tried to make it like a conspiracy, like all this big money is owning, getting control of the seeds, and the people aren't going to be able. All BS, all of it.
Isn't he botanical interest? That's what he's promoting.
Yeah, and he bought botanical interest. He retained all the employees, even kept all the artwork and everything. I mean, he really, the people at botanical interest sold him this company because they trusted what he was going to do with it. They could have sold it to any big company, any big corporation would have bought botanical interest. They sold it to Kevin because they trusted that he was going to take care of the company, which he did.
Wow. And that was part of what Kevin said in his rebuttal post, was like, hey, like, if I sold it to a big company, they would have totally, they would have taken all the patents.
They would have just absorbed
it into their system and gotten rid of the company completely. But instead they were like, no, you could take this and run with it and keep everybody on their same path in their careers that already are there. And that, it was very nice, straightforward, honest statement on how to go about it.
I think his rebuttal was very well said. He didn't do a quick response. It was like a couple of days later. It was pretty quick, but it wasn't like right afterwards, because I think he probably would have said some stuff like he didn't, you know what I mean? It's like, take a day and, but he broke down like everything the guy said. And he's like, yeah, I did. We did get bought out by like the Churning Group or whatever, which is that is a huge company. Like they're the ones who got Barstool going. Like they're the ones that got Barstool Sports to New York, and they sold Barstool to Penn before Portnoy bought it back from Penn, and so the Churning Group's a huge company. So yeah, I mean, I think people that trash him are jealous. I think we can all agree that we would all love to do what he's done. And Kevin, if you're out there, I'm sorry that I upset you by going with Vigo. I'm a free man now. So I'm sorry.
But Dustin's like, hey, Kevin, if you're out there, I'm available.
Just drop a little link there.
Yeah, so somebody make sure they tag Kevin in the comment sections as well.
But Kevin started out as a content creator, He wasn't a rich guy, he was just a content creator.
Yeah.
And he built all this from being a content creator.
Well, and anybody with that big of a following, just assume that they all have like teams that are there helping them with certain things, whether it's like botanical interests or, the distribution for birdies beds or, some of the products they sell from their website or, editing and filming and all that stuff, B-roll. Once you get that big and you're putting out that much content, you have to have a team. So just assume if someone's got like a couple 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, they've got a team behind them and they are, moving towards being a company. But there's nothing really wrong with that, I don't think. It's not like this. It's not the dark side. It's not Darth Vader. Kevin isn't.
No, that's the
it can be.
natural
It can be.
it gets
mean,
to the point where you're putting so much work into it, you got to justify that by eventually making some money on it.
Right.
If I wasn't making any money on all the stuff that I'm doing with the content creating and stuff like that, I could not justify doing it. You know, it's
Right.
like it's almost like another full-time job.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
it really
So
is.
I mean, you got to figure out how to monetize it. You know, however you can, and I don't blame anybody for it. You know,
Right.
I'd rather somebody go out and build a company than, you know, make every single one of their, you know, videos they post a commercial for something. You know,
Right.
Mhm.
As long as those giant corporations don't become like Amazon and it's like that where they own everything and you don't even know it anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like that's scary. That's scary. I didn't know Amazon owned IMDb. I didn't know that.
Hmm.
I didn't know they owned IMDb. So anytime you trash like an Amazon production, like TV show or movie, they can take your review down if they don't like it, so that the scores on their shows and stuff stay better. Like Rings of Power, which is terrible.
I've been enjoying Rings of Power, but
I'm a big Tolkien fan, and there's a lot of good history there, but there's a lot of things about the acting and the production's great. I mean, they spent like $1 billion or some ridiculous amount of money to make
It is by long and away the most expensive TV production of all time, and most of the lore in the TV show wasn't in a Tolkien book. They're making a lot of stuff up as they go.
Yeah.
So it's not really Tolkien. It's not even Tolkien's son. It's Bezos' imagination.
It's like all the Star Wars offshoots.
Oh, this is way off topic, but did y'all hear about Bezos? He's building like a giant cuckoo clock in the mountains of Texas. Did y'all hear about that? This is a real thing I heard about, and it freaked me out.
this is me. Like, I just got done watching, like, you know, with Bluey on Disney Plus. So like, I'm getting in bed and I am researching figs, and I get into all my nerdy stuff. So when we can't deviate this far with Phil's brain right now, because I'm just like
You're like, what? Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
I'm just like, oh, that sounds A, that sounds
What?
crazy. B, I don't have enough energy in my soul right now to dedicate any to that. I want to
it
know
is-
what to put in my raised bed right now, Destiny.
Yes, yes,
That's-
yes, for
that's-
sure.
About every like 20 seconds, there's a blue light that goes off behind you on your
It's the
video. And
Tesseract.
I
It's
keep
the
thinking
Tesseract.
the police are coming, like they're like rolling into your driveway, but it's just for a second every time it comes on.
Yes, so I bought the Tesseract. It is literally a geodesic, like hexagonal.
Can you program it to be red and blue and like alternating patterns?
If I could find the remote to turn it off, I
Like-
would, but I can't find the remote. And
What
by the way,
is
this
it?
is what
So I
it's,
gotta sleep in there with that going on, that Dustin.
I'll find the remote by then, Phil. But it's like a little mirrored hexagon, and you can set it to go off in the background, like to make different, designs with the
At least
sound
the
or
police
whatever.
aren't rolling up.
But I can't find the remote to change it or turn it off. I can't find
Does
it.
it play? Can it play Bad Boys from the show Cops?
No, but we will play with it though. The remote is around here somewhere. If not, I will unplug it, Phil. This will not be your nightlight.
Can we do a
I
Bad
know.
Boys intro to the garden party one day? That would be really funny.
I don't have that costume. Oh my goodness. Well, guys, I've had y'all for over an hour 15. Phil, I know it's past your bedtime, dude. Sorry for being so distracting on this podcast. We barely talked about any gardening. So you really want to, if you're paying attention right now, go follow everybody on the chat. Real quick, Josh, let them know what you got coming up and let everybody know where they can find you.
All right. So I just wrapped up a 20-day challenge, which is pretty fun. 20 days of emails and videos about fruit trees. So if you want some good foundational fruit tree knowledge, that's a good resource that's free. And I just rolled out my first course, which is all about your first fruit tree. So you want to learn, you're a beginner, you don't know how to start, you don't know where to begin, and you're worried, I'm going to plant this tree wrong. It solves all those problems. So I'm super excited about that. And you can find me on all the major socials under either the Plant Techie or Uncle Josh Gardens.
And do you have something new behind you right now in a pot? Is that something? What do you have?
Don't forget to plug Ezra's Wiener World Or-
Yeah, Ezzy's. And if you like small dachshunds, check out Ezzy's Wiener World. So this is Phil knows what this is because he
Yep.
just got one
He
of those.
gave me one.
This is a Tamarillo, which is a tomato tree.
Yes.
And I grew it from seed from some Baker Creek seeds, probably sold to
Yes.
me by you know who.
Little tiny seeds too, super
Tiny.
small.
This is like a whole season's growth. Like this is as much as I got out of it. Like it did
Yes.
not get very big. But next year it's going to get really big and it's going to fruit. So
If you've ever had a Mexican candy, that's like the most common flavor of a Mexican candy. It's really good.
okay. So I'm
I-
curious to see if we'll get anything next year out of it.
I've had them from like Sprouts or whatever, and they're really, really tasty.
Okay.
Have you eaten one before?
No.
It's like a sweeter, sour tomato. Like it's really, really good.
Okay.
I bet it might be similar to like that ground cherry that you like. I bet it
Okay.
could be like on the scale relative to that. But look into it. You can probably find them at Whole Foods or Sprouts or something. I bet you can find them.
I'm gonna look into that.
Very,
Cool.
very popular flavor in dulces and Mexican sweets. It's very, very popular. So, yes,
Sweet.
absolutely.
All right.
Well, thank you once again, Josh. It's always a pleasure to have you, Mr. Jeremy Trosky. Where can we find you, and what you got coming up, dude?
Hopefully I'll be back out in the garden here within a few days. I've been on a hiatus because I've been just absolutely swarmed by bugs for over a week now because my neighbor had a stagnant pond that we
I
discovered.
caught this. I caught part 2 of that. What happened?
We got a slumlord doing a property in one of the row houses next to me, and they cut down all the weeds that grew up for like years, and there was a stagnant pond in there. So when they cut all the weeds down, all those bugs, that was their habitat, the gnats, the mosquitoes, everything, they
came to
moved
your
right
place.
into my garden. And it's been so bad that we can't spend any time in there. It's been miserable.
Well,
So the pond's been drained, so hopefully here the bugs start moving out and we can get back out there. But yeah, it's been pretty miserable. But
that explains why I haven't been seeing as much content with you and your shirt off. I mean, I thought you were going like I thought you were going like full male model on us. I honestly was thinking about making a collage of just like shots of you with your shirt off in the garden. I was like, man, this dude's a thirst trap.
For them thirst traps.
That's awesome, man.
Hopefully by this weekend we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, man. Back to normal, showing off the guns and posting those thirst traps. I love it, dude. Thanks as always. Tell Alicia I put in the chat the link for my hats. Jeremy and his wife take care of my I always want to say upholstery, it's embroidery. For the hats, they handle the shipping and everything like that. So if you buy a hat from me, not only are you supporting me, but you're supporting Jeremy and Alicia's company. And they help me out a lot with not having to worry about shipping and handling. It's like that. So I make less money, so I don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. And they do a great job.
Any other content creators need some merch? Get a hold of Lish. She can take care of you.
Absolutely. Sweet. She does a great job. Great job. Mr. Phil's Figs. What you got coming up, dude? I mean, I think you're gonna be hopping on an airplane in a couple of days, huh?
I'm going down to your house next Thursday.
Yes.
Bright and early. I'm going to zip on down to Texas. I joked with Dustin. I've been to Texas like 30 times, but only the airports.
Yeah.
So now I will leave the airports and I will come hang in Houston. And we'll be creating content. We'll be going to Moody Gardens, and then we will be doing Figtoberfest.
Yes, it's gonna be so
Don't
awesome.
forget about the music video.
And the music video.
That's
yeah,
like the first thing we're doing, I bet.
We'll have to come up with some ideas for that. The first thing.
When you get off the plane, Destin's going to be standing there with his guitar and his wig
He's
on.
like, put this wig on, and then
I'm
be like
on the
carpool
paper sign
karaoke.
outside the airport. Like, I'm here for the Fig Daddy. Oh my goodness! Yes, Figtoberfest is next Saturday. We're a little over a week away from Figtoberfest. It's been months in the planning. We've been planning this since what, like March? It feels like it's been that long. I feel like it's been that early, since early spring. We've been planning this in
at least April, May.
Yeah, for sure. And man, it's been a labor of love though. It's fun planting this stuff. And everybody that shows up, it's a free event. Bring a lawn chair. Bring a lawn chair. So you have somewhere to sit. We're probably going to have over 200 people there. The fig hunter is unfortunately not going to make it. He had a turnaround he had to do, but he is mailing over 200 cuttings so that we can do fig propagations. I'm going to Porter to Heirloom Soils to pick up an entire, as much as my truck will hold, of soil for propagations. We got Fig Brew sending in coffee, figgy for the event. And we're going to have the Sun Grove is donating 24 fig trees. So it's 12 different varieties of fig trees to give away for the event. So, and I have upwards of 100 fig trees in my backyard. I'm sure I'll bring some to the event as well. So, yeah, it's going to be an awesome event. It's free. It is next Saturday, October 5th, 8 to 1 o'clock. I am Texas Garden Guy. This has been the Garden Party. Thank y'all so much for hopping on, and we'll see you next week with some other people that we've never had on before. So see you then. Bye, guys.